remembering the tragic events of 9/11. We return you to the Opie and Anthony Show. Original air date, September 11th, 2001.
Who else do we got? Let's go to another phone call.
I had just had dinner a while back at the top of the World Trade Center. There was a great restaurant up there that overlooked Manhattan.
Window of the world.
Window of the world, yeah.
It's so weird you're talking about it in the past tense.
It's just, I know.
It's just
you
amazing.
You can't believe it. It's such a fixture in New York. If you're in picture the Sears Tower, if you're in Chicago, and that all of a sudden is gone. If you're in Seattle, all of a sudden the Space Needle's gone. You know, you're in St. Louis, the Arch, gone. I mean, landmarks, city landmarks. This is probably one of the most famous buildings in the world. And in New York, it's a major landmark. You drive past it all the time. And now, it's gone. It's not there anymore. Picture it, just take the biggest, most famous building in your city and imagine it's been blown up.
All right.
Too much.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Steve.
Sad day.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wow, look at these people just running.
Yeah,
it looks like the running of the bulls.
Yeah, I know. There's people just running through the streets in panic.
It's just so, we're just getting more and more, a brand new video, and that's an amazing shot. Just thousands upon thousands of people running up, who knows, could be, I don't even know what road, I can't really tell, but...
could be Broadway down...
I was going to say maybe Broadway, but just running
Manhattan.
away from the wall of... Look at that. It's like, it's the only way I can describe it. It's like the New York City Marathon, when you see those shots where, there's so many people that you can't really run yet, so you're kind of walking fast. So...
They've closed the borders with Canada and Mexico. Aren't they supposed to do that anyway? Jesus Christ.
All right, who's on the line? Gary
Ackerman.
All right.
Hi, how are you?
Gary, what's up, man?
Man, this is the largest single tragedy in the history of our country.
Absolutely.
It is unfathomable and unthinkable what's happened here, and there's probably many more than 10,000 people who've perished today.
Oh my God.
And right now it's kind of surrealistic, looking and listening to all this and hearing it described like in a distance through a fog, and as soon as we start getting more details, there's not going to be a person who is in this city, who is on Long Island, who is in the state of New York, or in the country, who's not going to know somebody who was killed today.
Yeah,
that is a huge number.
This is a day just like Pearl Harbor was. Yes, you got to understand the scope of this. It's huge. We've had our brushes in the past with terrorism, of course. A lot of the times it's military or I hate to say it, but we don't feel as bad when maybe it's 5, 6, 10 people that lose their lives. We kind of shut ourselves off to that. But something this big affects everyone in the country. It's huge.
This affects the entire civilized world. First, it's going to affect us personally, because these are going to be real people pretty soon, rather than just whoever was there and we don't know who.
Right.
It'll be real people. This place was leveled. You have to look at all that steel and concrete just melted down. They're never going to find 1% of the remains of people that are lost there.
Not to mention the passengers of 2 aircraft. That were in this wreck.
I would suspect more than 1,000 people who were just on the planes perished, and this is going to be a much larger number than that.
So what do you think the response should be, Gary?
Well, we have to really take stock of the situation. I think we've all pretty much come to the conclusion that this is a terrorist attack by a fundamentalist or several fundamentalist groups, probably one group.
Bin Laden.
Well, that's whose fingerprints seem to be on this right now. He's very well financed, and when you think of how many people had to be involved in this secret, heinous act, people to recruit, people to train, people to bring people to the airports to drop them off, people to the number on each plane that you need to overwhelm passengers, crew, pilot. The fact that you need well-trained pilots who knew exactly where the targets were and how to get there.
You need people that know how to fly jet aircraft. I mean, you can't just pull these people out of thin air. This is something we should have been able to pick up on. And I was saying that the past 8 years of prosperity have kind of undermined our intelligence. We dropped the ball.
Exactly. I just got back very recently from traveling through the Middle East, and I met with the leadership of many of the countries there, especially in the Arab world.
You met with Arafat.
I met with Arafat, as you know, quite extensively. I met with the leadership in Syria and Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince, and the people who run the government, the defense ministers and foreign ministers of each country.
What was your vibe with those people?
My vibe was that they were lying.
Right.
They were worried and concerned about the spillover from the Palestinian uprising within Israel and the West Bank and Gaza, etc., was going to spill over into their areas and disrupt their way of life, and that they claimed they were concerned, which of course they were, about it, the street, as they call it in their own country, the Muslim people pushing them because they were not active enough on behalf of their Palestinian brothers and weren't doing enough, and that we should get that resolved.
And
there are people who don't want it resolved,
problem.
and these are the people who don't want it resolved, and that's really what that's been all about. How do you respond to that?
Their whole power base is based upon this never being resolved.
Oh, exactly.
When stuff like this happens, that's when they're noticed. That's when they get the press, and that's when they get a little more power.
They get tremendous power. They talk directly to the Almighty. They're the only ones who know truth and justice, and everybody else be damned.
Right.
And they can do these vile and heinous things. I mean, this isn't a military target that they picked.
No.
This is the classic act of terrorists, to strike fear into the hearts of innocent civilian people, to stampede a population, to cause them to lose their national resolve and their will, and to back off. And this is why they hate us, and they hate the Israelis as well, because we have shared values that they don't share.
Right.
And we just have to know that regardless of our political affiliations or personal philosophies, we have to stand as one now.
Right. You see bipartisan support of the president now?
I've been trying to help lead the charge on our side. We have one president, one commander-in-chief. He's going to call the shots. We're going to follow. We're going to explore, all the things that we have to do as far as the policy and the security breaches or whatever or the intelligence lapses that might have taken place. But we are going to stand behind the national response to this. And our first response is naturally trying to see how many people we could save here, if any. I mean, it doesn't look good.
Well, I hate to say this, but I think we're going to spend a lot of time cleaning up 8 years of neglect on the part of the Clinton administration for letting us get so relaxed with intelligence and the military. This is the same. This is the same administration that gave the Chinese their rocket program, Gary.
I think that's unfair, and I think that the thing we have to do is avoid starting to say whose fault this is. In America.
No, I know whose fault it is. It's the terrorists' fault. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
it wouldn't be fair for me to say that they dared not do this while Clinton was president, and they waited for Bush because they know he doesn't know shit from Shinola, and therefore can take and I won't take a cheap shot like that because I don't think that it's right. We're going to stand behind the president. Our military has to be strengthened. Unfortunately, we've blown the whole national surplus on giving everybody a lousy $300 when it should have been used for the defense. But that's
now
beside,
who's pointing?
That's beside. We have to stand as a people and not bicker over this and try to get political gain for one party or another.
Gary, what does the president do and when?
Well, the president has to be thoroughly briefed, and I think that everybody's trying to figure out what happened. This isn't something like you just turn to the back chapter of the book and see what the answer was. We have not received full briefings yet because everything is in a state of progress and trying to figure out what happened and how it happened. I was just talking to Washington. We're being briefed by the people in the Sergeant at Arms Security, and I was just with the NYPD. I went down to from Queens. They took me over to Port Washington, where we loaded a bunch of EMTs, emergency medical technicians, onto ships.
Yeah, a lot of Long Island emergency equipment going to New York City.
To bring them into the city by boat, because otherwise they can't get in there anytime soon.
I noticed the roads a little congested going westbound.
It is a mess. It's a nightmare, and people are sitting in traffic, trying to get somewhere, and then they try to get back, and that ties things up because they realize they can't get anywhere. One of the sad sidebars to this horrendously horrifying incident is the reports we're getting and the clippings we're getting of people in some of the Palestinian areas that are celebrating
this,
for joy and laughing,
handing out candy in the streets.
Oh, it is that human beings would succumb to taking joy in this tragedy.
You use the term human being loosely, my friend, because
these are very sick, evil people that take any solace. No matter who is your political counterpart or enemy or whatever, you don't wish this kind of thing. I mean, when there's an earthquake in
Turkey,
in Pakistan, the Indians even go to help. When something happens in Turkey, the Greeks send help. The Israelis send people all over the world, to try on these emergency situations.
No, these people celebrate death in the name of God. It's just beyond any realm of reality or civilized thinking.
You're absolutely right, and the fact that Mr. Arafat immediately after this happens denounces it as a terrible thing. I mean, what does he expect? He is absolutely guilty of giving license to people who would even think about this by talking the language of hate and terror, and that it's okay to kill, and to show it on television programs to their school children about killing and murdering, and this is acceptable. This is no way for human beings to behave, and I think that the problem is indeed we're not necessarily dealing with human beings.
Right. It's time to get our house in order.
We're going to get our house in order. We are going to hunt these dogs down, and they will pay the price.
Last scene of The Godfather. Michael Corleone takes care of family business. It's time.
We got family business.
Yep.
All right, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah. Let me just put in one additional thought here.
Sure.
And this thing hasn't been completely ferreted out yet. But the much heard about conference against racism in Durban, South Africa.
Yeah, that was a farce.
Where the Arab world had gotten together. They linked us together with the Israelis, of course, because we. It was an
American-Israeli bash fest.
That's right, and the Americans and the Israelis walked out, and this is in part their revenge for that. And.
The ultimate, at their anti-racism summit, they decide to pull one of the hugest racist attacks in history.
Exactly right. It was a conference to promote their brand of racism and to get attention for it. And this is the fruit of their work. The free and civilized world cannot tolerate this kind of thing. This is an evil that exists, and this evil will not be allowed to stand.
Thanks a lot, Gary.
Keep up the good work, guys.
All right, Gary Ackerman. Thank you, Gary. Let's talk to Louis Black from The Daily Show and Comedy Central.
Louis.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Louis.
How we doing?
Jesus.
Unbelievable. I know. I just was listening to Gary. It is unbelievable. I mean, what's truly unbelievable is I wake up this morning and go into the shower. I'd finally get an apartment building that has a view.
Yeah, right? Look at Lewis's luck.
And it would be, great, I get to view this.
Carnage.
But I get up to go, I mean, this is the way things are, because you live your life. You get up, I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to go see my shrink, for obvious reasons. And walking around, and the window's wide open, and I don't notice it.
You didn't even notice.
I was looking at, because I'm looking at for part, I've got a window that kind of spans around, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the water, I'm looking at the boats, walk away, and it wasn't until
Jesus.
My friend had the TV on, and I went, Jesus. And then you look out the window, and it was unbelievable. A friend of mine was in Brooklyn, who I talked to and saw this. I don't know how you handle this. I mean, because I'm sitting here, I was looking at it for, but saw the plane hit it.
Wow.
Hit the second building, standing in Brooklyn on the street.
Well, the thing is, everyone was looking in that direction because it's not every day you see the World Trade Center on fire.
Yeah.
So everyone was looking in that direction. So a lot of people did see the second plane hit it.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're amazed that you're just looking at the World Trade Center burning. But then when you see another plane hit it, you rub your eyes, open and close them a few times, and then just curse like, what the F did I just see?
Yeah. Because it really does, it's... The toughest thing is that the only thing that comes close in my experience is Kennedy being shot, in the sense that everything changes.
Right, as a country, right.
Everything changes.
Yeah.
And you can say, well, the Kennedy thing may not be a big thing, but it was, because it was like, well, if you can kill the president, any schmuck can kill the president.
Right.
We're in a different ballpark, and this was like if they can do as you were saying. I mean, this is, I could see a Cessna, okay?
Right. Yeah.
I could understand that. I could see somebody taking off from Hackensack.
We've talked about that on the show, Lewis.
Yeah.
We were surprised that no one has done that before. Hey, I hate my life and I happen to be a pilot.
Yeah.
What was that?
Initially, when I saw the building burning, I thought that's what it was. I thought, okay, great.
Yeah.
And then
that's all that's left.
But it was how many? It was 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
Lewis, I'm sorry. We're just looking at ABC News. They have a new video of the World Trade Center at the base. All that's left, the front of one of the towers, is all you can see.
It's like a scene out of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. Now the thing is, the only thing we really know about terrorism, aside from the real life experiences we've had, have always been the movies. So you always thought, all right, I watch in the movies and they make an A-bomb or something and they bring it over here, or they have a bunch of troops that come across from Mexico and take us over. When you think that you look up at aircraft and now it's a potential weapon, a jet plane now, you look at it, there's a potential terrorist weapon. It changes your thinking now.
Yeah.
It changes your everyday walk through life thinking.
Who would have thought that this is the way it would have happened? Because I think
that's what I meant. Yeah, by movies, you're just.
But I mean, when you work and live in Manhattan, it's in the back of your mind that eventually something really bad is going to happen. I mean, 8 years ago with the World Trade Center, that was pretty bad. But it's always in the back of your mind. It's going to be a little worse next time. But I don't think any of us thought it would happen in this way with our own aircraft. It's just amazing. Yeah,
and it's also this mentality that you learn. That and it's a hell of a way to learn it. But the mentality that you learn when you go to if you go to Europe, and you realize that these people have all been bombed.
They've dealt with this for many years.
We were always like, how could this happen?
Well,
I'm still in a state of, how do you train? I don't have the energy to get through the day.
Right,
okay?
And now to deal with this.
How do they train 4 pilots? I mean, or however many other people.
Who knows how many there were initially?
An inordinate project.
And that's what I'm saying. You can't just do this without a lot of people being involved. You can't just grab someone and put them behind the controls of a 767 and have them hit a pinpoint target. This is something that went on for quite some time, and we were not aware of it.
Yeah.
We had no clue this was being planned.
And each plane had more than one guy to take it over.
It had to.
Yeah, you can't just have one guy.
You can't have one guy.
The other thing, and the other thing you learn too is another friend of mine said today quite aptly that, because I travel, I'm on an airplane all the time.
Yeah.
And I go through security, and about every second time, they actually check me for they check your bag where they see if there's something on it, where they do this thing now. They take a piece of paper and touch your bag and check it.
Right.
And you kind of look at it and it's like there's a sense of it. As a friend of mine said, it's like they've got the checkers from D'Agostino working this.
Yeah, exactly. It's bull crap security.
It is, and it has been. And I've always kind of wondered, shouldn't we? And when people would stop me, I'm like, and people get irked. You would get irked, and I go, you can't get. What are you, nuts?
Yeah.
If it takes us 20 minutes to get through there, because that's what they do everywhere else in the world.
Yeah,
right.
Except for us.
Well, we feel so secure with those 2 huge oceans between us and the uncivilized animals of the world.
Yeah.
And then you realize they used our own planes, Louis.
Yeah, I know.
They used American and United Airlines to smash symbolic landmarks of America, the World Trade Center and the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We were looking in the wrong direction.
Truly. And then the other one that went down in Pittsburgh, which they're now saying it made a turn to go to Washington. It was probably,
could have been shot down.
I have no idea, but it made the turn. And that's where that one was heading. It was back to D.C., which meant they were probably either going for Congress or the White House.
And that was a 747.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beyond, and it's, it's like, and it's the day where, this is where people say, everybody always goes, we've talked about this all the time on the show. Mm-hmm. Where does comedy stop?
Yeah.
It stops today.
This is where it's. But you know something? 75 years from now, they'll make fun of it.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, if I'm alive.
We're a mess.
If I'm alive and there's a stage, yes. But not,
No, absolutely, this is where you just draw the line.
But everybody always says, what is the line? And I don't think there's much of a line, okay? I mean, I think you can make a joke about practically anything.
Oh, man, you've been on our show? Sure.
But when you reach any kind of point of this type of violence, there's nothing. You just have to stop. There's nothing. There's nothing funny. The level of stun that most of us are at is beyond belief.
Yeah, the reality of it has more impact than any dopey joke you would ever even hazard to make about it. I mean, just the reality of watching the World Trade Center towers crumble to the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, who ever thought you'd see that? When they tried it in '93, you sat almost smug and proud going, look, bastards couldn't knock it down.
That's right.
They had a truck full of explosives. We all saw the crater it made on the news, and we said, look, you bastards, you couldn't even knock it down. You had carte blanche to the garage. You blew up the base of this building, and it still stands. Go F yourself.
Yeah.
And here we are, 2001. They used planes, our own planes, and to watch them, both of these things crumble to the ground was just like you felt beaten and helpless and pissed.
Yeah. And the thing is you just, and everybody's just watching because all you want is like, how do you pull something like this off? I mean, one plane I understand. I could get that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we said that earlier. It's
one I get. Four, I'm beyond how.
No, you need to conspire with so many people to pull this off that we should have gotten an inkling that this was going down.
Yeah.
We've failed over the last, like I said, over the last 8 years. We had a lot of prosperity in this country, and we kind of put off things that we didn't want to think about.
Yeah.
The Soviet Union crumbled. Great. that's wonderful. That doesn't mean we don't have to turn our intelligence binoculars somewhere else. And this is where we have to look.
Well, the thing, the other thing was that how, once. The thing that I didn't understand, and God knows, you think, that I'm the commie pinko of the group. The one thing that is that you've got, as my friend calls him, Omaha bin Laden, and that thing occurs at the World Trade Center, and we don't go, well, that's it. We're hunting him down. And
you know what?
We don't stop.
Louis, we don't assassinate people. That's uncivilized.
I know we don't assassinate him, but you go and get him.
You
go,
kill
that's it.
Right.
It's called tough.
Exactly.
I don't care. I'm not talking about killing him. I mean, but I do say you track right to him. You go right into whatever countries, and you say, that's
He's
it.
in Afghanistan. And you know something? Afghanistan is backing this guy and supporting him and giving him a place to live. So now Afghanistan has to suffer.
Yeah.
This is how we have to deal with this.
I don't know how else you deal with it. I mean, you were talking about the Palestinians. I mean, these guys are, if I would say, but when I saw it, my immediate reaction was it's got to be the Palestinians because they're the ones basically who were in the most sense of rage.
Right.
And so, but if you do it, you don't celebrate.
Oh, they are just partying in the streets.
They're dancing in the streets, Louis.
How stupid is that?
I hope the next video of them dancing is on the nose of one of our bombs.
Yeah, I mean, it's really beyond belief. They have just destroyed themselves in the court of world opinion.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, because in a sense they did have that they had the underdog thing going for them.
Yeah.
In a sense, I mean, I'm Jewish. These people, in a sense, historically, and this is the thing I hope we get over in my lifetime. When you set up a situation like you set up in Israel and Palestine 100 years ago, whereby you set it up so that you don't have that the British and the French go in there and set it up so that it has no solution.
Yeah.
They set it up. They're going to go, okay, you Palestinians, go live in a dump, and we're giving this to the Israelis.
Right.
And everybody goes, okay. And everything I read historically, I'm going, well, didn't somebody at some point go, look, something's going to happen from this?
Well, you know what, Lewis? I don't feel that's our effing problem. And I think they should fight it out as best they can, and the top dog gets it all. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If they have a problem between each other, which they have, and they have for quite some time, fight it out amongst yourselves. Leave us out of it.
Well, I always said, and I still believe this, if we had just gone over there and set up Vegas.
Yeah, right?
In the Middle East, which
Casinos.
is what you do when you have a desert. You don't make it. You don't do agriculture. You do what we did in Vegas.
They're fighting over crap.
Exactly. The people who gamble together, don't fight.
Yeah.
I mean, they are fighting. They're fighting over. As my grandfather who left there 100 years ago said, I said, "Why'd you leave it?" He said, "It was a dump." He said, "I don't know what these people are keeping here."
And I don't like the idea of Osama bin Laden coming out and saying that it's not him.
Yeah.
He had no responsibility. He tried to blow it up in '93. This is like the same. This is like the crackhead that robs the same liquor store over and over until they catch him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got him written all over it. He is the premier terrorist these days, the Vogue terrorist. So he's got to have some responsibility for this.
Unless it's from something, unless it's from like, unless we're dealing with like. James Bond's kind of enemy,
Yeah, really.
Some nut job we've never
Dr.
heard of.
No or something, yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one with the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got the money to finance this. And you know something? I don't even care if his involvement has just been influencing some other nut job. Take this guy out.
Yeah.
They've had interviews with him. They've had American journalists go in and interview this guy. Put a goddamn gun in the camera.
Yeah.
For the love of God. Unbelievable.
All right, Lewis. Well, thanks for helping us out today.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Please
As
call
always, guys.
Well, call us back in an hour or so, all right?
Huh?
If you got anything else, call us back.
I certainly will. I'll keep my eye out.
All right, man.
You guys take care, okay?
Thanks.
And I'll see you soon.
Yeah, you got it.
Take it easy, Lewis.
Lewis
Bye-bye.
Black from The Daily Show on Comedy Central.
He's always a nut, and this must have just put him right over the top. I mean, he's in New York City, and he's one of those guys that
He's
are
pretty
just
neurotic to begin with.
He's
huh?
neurotic. Something like he can't handle if someone's in front of him buying too many lottery tickets online. So this just must have
put him over the top. All right, we could use a break. They got a picture of the skyline. How insane is that you don't see the Twin Towers?
They're gone. I know.
Right here and right
That's
there.
it.
All right,
And we'll be back in in no time at all. I just got to take a leak. Really bad.
All we're doing is taking a leak. That's it. I mean, it is really weird for us today because we're not in Manhattan because obviously they shut down the city. So Ed and I had to go to WLIR on Long Island. Our friends here. We help each other out from time to time, and I want to thank them. We're in the Party 105.3 studio.
I know.
I live on Long Island. I don't even know what station this is.
You see.
Oh, that's the program director? I'm sorry.
You see the board down there, though? The board that they write the stuff on that the DJs are supposed to... Like the boards we make fun of all the time that have the little things on them.
Start using Long Island's party station again.
Instead of, what was it, Long Island Summer Party Station?
Oh, so you dropped the summer on it. Oh, look at you being a program director.
What else, Opie?
Think about what's going on this time of year. School, football, Jets, Giants.
Terrorism.
You got to add terrorism to that, Mr. Program Director. Got to get personal. A lot of stories coming in. Hey, you guys, we want to talk to a lot of people in New York that have personal experiences with this whole thing today, okay?
Or just how they're feeling, even, if you were sitting at home or something.
Yeah.
Right?
All right? And guys, today is not the day to mess with us and do Baba Booey pranks and all that crap. So please help us out today, okay? And I are running down the hall.
No, you go first.
I know. We'll
I'll
separately
wait.
take the leak, even though it's different circumstances today. And we'll be back in like 2 or 3 minutes, okay?
Right.
And Glenn also indicated the mayor will have more figures for us and more information, maybe being able to tell us how many people they know have died at this point. But we do know, obviously, that thousands have either died or have been injured by this horrible act of violence, of terrorism here in the city of New York.
Remembering the tragic events of 9/11. You're listening to the Opie and Anthony Show from Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. Coming up, a portion of the Ron and Fez show from that day, and a special 9/11 roundtable discussion with the 2001